You're not yet a doctor. Okay. So, I was again going to say Dr. Hannington Musinguzi, I know him as a software entrepreneur. He said he's not a developer because definitely he's not. We know him as a businessman. We know him as an OB, 98 to 2001. I don't know whether that was for O level or A level, you'll tell us. Of recent, I've known him as a farmer. Today we managed to see some small fish which he was catching from his ponds. To me it is small because I've seen fish which is as big as a goat. So I don't know why yours is very small. and yeah, that's the little I know about him. He will tell us more about that. Without wasting much of your time, I'm going to invite, it's 6:12. I'm going to invite Hannington to take us through for the next 30 or 40 minutes, after which we shall open up for all of our members to participate. You may ask, you may supplement, you may do whatever you want to do. Bruce, for purposes of confirmation, please, I hope you're recording. Yeah, I can see you're recording. Somehow we got issues last week and we missed out on our recording. So today we don't want to make a mistake. Hannington, you're welcome. Please, you can take over. Please unmute, Hannington, unmute.
Yes, good evening, Dixon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Sure. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Alan, I see Bruce Mugela. I think I know a couple of guys here. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Hans.
Good evening, Hans.
Yes, my name is Hannington Musinguzi. I was at NTARE school in 1998. Yeah. Yes, I left in 2001. Yes, but once a lion, always a lion. So yes, that's the brief about me and NTARE. I made so many friends, including Bonshe, Mr. Brindo Arugava. I think he was my best friend during my stay there. Yes. We've moved on, and first I want to thank you, Dixon, and a couple of other guys, Agre, Abiona, and the rest of the guys, Bruce, guys who keep on bringing us together as the entire cohorts. Yeah, I want to thank you, because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be having such gatherings. Yes, I am a businessman. I think I want to run straight to the purpose of this engagement. I was born into business. I was born into a business family. If you have lived in Imbara, you know the Kafoko family. I happen to be the last born. Yes, but we started off as early as my P7 VAC. That is when I started doing some business, selling popcorns around VE. And then by around second year, I was working at VE. I think I did everything at VE, from working in the toilets to working at the gate. By S6, I was working at the gate. And yeah, it's been, it was a really fruitful journey, because I managed to learn a couple of things that have continued to help me and guide me in whatever I do as of today. I started off as a banker. I worked for Barclays Bank, not for about 4 months. I couldn't handle the pressure within the bank, and I was a bit hungry when I left campus. At campus, I did political science. I majored in international relations, but then I never practiced anything in line with that. After school, you realize that it just prepared you for bigger things. So I went straight into trying to make ends meet, and joined sales in Barclays Bank at that time. It was hell. Yeah, so I didn't stay in there for long. 4 months down the road, I went into insurance, worked with Nick Insurance as a marketing person, but they're called Supply Zone. Yeah, so as a Supply Zone officer, Within about 3 months, I became a liaison officer. I left insurance also. It wasn't working for me. I was trying to find myself and where I belong. Yeah, so I did radio. I did radio marketing and sales for about another 4 months. Still, it wasn't adding up. I was working for family. There's nothing as difficult as working for family. Yeah, you're always in fights and all that. So I moved on from that and joined outdoor advertising, outdoor and indoor advertising, which I did for about 1 year and a half. And from there, I joined another company, a South African company that was dealing in software. So that's how I fell in love with IT. I realized that everything in as far as the future is concerned is going to have something to do with IT, be it life, be it the health sector, be it politics, be it anything. You can't run away from IT. So I think I finally found what I was looking for and settled into IT. Worked as an operations manager, grew into the rank of country director, then country, basically CEO for that company. And I worked there for about 5 years and got tired of working for people. So I decided to venture into my own business. And because I had done some good work, made some good relations in the IT sector, I decided to start with IT. So that's how I started the first company, my first company, which is still running. And I think the biggest so far in everything that I'm doing. It's called Payroll Consults. Payroll Consults Africa. We basically do payroll. It was specifically built for payroll, made for payroll. So we do some work for government. That's how me and Dixon first met in as far as business is concerned, and a couple of other hobbies that have been helpful in that area. Yeah, so we do some business for the Ministry of Public Service in as far as payroll management is concerned. Yeah, but over and above that, I've managed to do some security software. I have done some business management software, and we continue to build, yes. So basically that's a brief on the kind of business that I do. Lately, I fell in love with farming. So I can say I'm a business farmer. I've managed to make some little money from matoke. Did vegetables, they didn't go so well. I realized animals are the way to go. I've done some cows. I'm doing fishing. Very soon I'll be cashing in on fishing. Yeah, so basically that is an introduction of who I am and what I do. I want to go straight to the topic of the day. Dixon, I will try to follow what you gave. I'm not going to present really. I want to speak more of a Chiganiro so that we all enjoy it and not get bored. And if I look at the pointers that you gave, I see choice of business. So I'm going to talk about choice of business. What should motivate somebody to do, have to do, or what they'll end up doing. Some people, they don't know what to do in business. They would want to know, if I want to start something today, what should it be? Where should I put my money? And then you talked about business financing. So yeah, I'll talk about financing. Then human resource, marketing, and lastly, you talk about business sustainability. Yeah, so let's start off with choice of business. What motivates one to do or to fall in love or venture a kind of business? Personally, on a couple of things, but then I think I have some reasonable knowledge that I've picked over time that I should impart. Yeah, so when you talk of choice of business, personally, I went into IT because an IT firm and appreciated what I was doing. Was I saw opportunities and I jumped and grabbed the opportunity in IT. But then over time, I've realized that there's so much that someone can do if you just open your eyes and decide to learn. If you pick interest in what people are doing, see where the money is, who is making money, and how are they making the money, that can guide you on on making the choice of what kind of business one should go for. Yeah, so, but then there are other factors, underlying factors that usually guide someone. You look at the educational training. What is your background? What have you studied in school? Because there's nothing as bad as doing business when you don't understand the kind of engagements that you're going to have. So educational background is very important. If you're a doctor, I would advise that you try and stick to things to do with medicine and things, business within the health sector, because you understand anybody else out there. But also, if you look at the kind of informal training you've had, you might be trained as a doctor, but then you find that you have informal training or informal exposure while you're growing up. What kind of things were you doing at home? Dixon, you always joke that you used to sell matoke, that your father was a farmer and you got exposure in that particular area. So you find that much as you're not, much as you haven't studied agriculture, your exposure, your informal exposure will impart so much on the kind of business that you might end up doing. Yeah, so, and then you have resources. Resources are so limiting. Before you think of any kind of business, you need to think about where you're going to get the money from. Yeah, because every business needs money. You're not going to just go in there and do business without funding. Yeah, so you need to think about funding. You might have a lot of money, you might have limited funding. That will definitely help you determine what kind of business you can go into. So when you look, you weigh in on all that, you start going out to look at what people are doing. You'll see what the farmers are doing. You'll see what Hannington is doing. What is Dixon doing? Keep talking to friends and see the kind of engagements that they have out there, the kind of business that they are engaging in. But then lately I realized that, and with COVID, we came to learn a couple of things, and these have impacted so much on where I'm putting my money, my little money lately, because I realized that some businesses can't actually stand the test of time. Something like a lockdown happens and then business over time. So that has impacted on the kind of choices that I make now when it comes to business. I've learned not to put all my resources in one particular business. I've learned to diversify, because you realize that if one business closes, I've been doing IT for a while, and then I realized that I needed to go out there and maybe do some commerce, try to do some farming, because I realized that what if tomorrow this company that I have worked on for all this time, what if it closes overnight? Then what would happen? So you get to think about such things, and then you look at the consumers out there. What moves? When you look at your home, because I've learned over time that the best business for you to do is the business that impacts on you on a daily. If you sit down in your sitting room right now, or in your kitchen at home, and you look at the things that are in there, they can actually guide you on what kind of business that you could go into. Every day you go to a supermarket, you buy things. You realize that you need mobile money. So on a daily basis, how much money do you actually use on mobile money? You go to the bank. Have you thought about becoming an agent? Have you thought about doing mobile money as a business? Have you thought about setting up a retail shop? Because if you look at your house, how much money should on a daily basis? So the life that you live, the kind of exposure that you have, the educational training, the friends that you interact with on a daily basis will impact on the choice of business that you are likely involved. So to talk about choice of business, I think those are the key pointers that I would love to share: educational training, informal training and exposure, resources, the lifestyles around you. If you do some little research on that, you will definitely get something that you can do in there. And then, of course, the availability of resources. If you don't have money, it becomes almost impossible. At times, a friend comes to you and says, "What kind of business can I do?" But they don't even have 100,000. They don't even have 1 million. They don't even have anything to start with. It becomes very difficult. Really. The only thing you advise them, I believe Mark will talk more about that, is farming. Yeah, because with farming, you can start from as little as 100,000. Yeah, so choice of business, I think I have exhausted that. I'll move to how you get the money, where money from to start a business. And I look at this in twofold kind of approach. I have startups, and then you have business refinancing. Startups are where you actually have nothing, just starting up from zero. Now, for startups, I would advise, and I'm really looking at this in the context of NTARE OBs, with a perception that most of us are working somewhere or have worked somewhere and made some savings. Yeah, so when you're looking at the business financing, once you have an idea that you have settled for, then as a person who has been employed for a while, you must have made some savings. If you're not, then it's high time you started doing that. Save some money. If you earn 1 million, try and spend less than 600,000. So at least you have 40% that is going into savings, because tomorrow, whatever you want to do over and above the kind of employment that you have, you will need some savings. Yeah, so do some savings, personal savings from salary, or if you have any other kind of income, you need to do some saving, because you will need some money before you start. And then you could consider, if you look at NSOBA, we have an investment club under the NSOBA flagship, a couple of friends. I think we're about 40. You're putting together, and at the end of the day, you realize that maybe after 4 or 5 years, you have put in 25 million, you have invested it as a club, and you have some, you have earned some interest. So you might find that you started with 20 contribution, but at the end of the day, your worth in that particular investment group is 60 or even 100 million. So I would advise friends here to think of joining an investment club under the NSOBA flagship, but you can also join any investment club, a saving club. You can do a saving club within your workplace, within your village. You can come up with a couple of neighbors. I've seen it happen in the village. You find these informal laborers coming together and saving some money. They put together 50,000 maybe every month, or 100,000. And at the end of the day, they collect all that money and give it to one person to go and use it for something. Yeah, so you could start something like that with your drinking buddies, with your friends that you play football, you play with football over the weekend, people that you work with. Yeah, so try to do some saving at any kind of level. It can be at a workplace level, it can be at a friendship level, it can be at a Kahoot level, like the entire OBs. I think there are a couple of saving clubs that I've seen with a couple of banks, DFCU mainly. Yeah, so join one if you haven't joined, because you will need to save some money before you can start any business. But some people have also borrowed from family. You borrow from friends or family members. You sit down with a business idea, and your parents maybe choose to finance you, or your friends are rich and they have some money at their disposal. They lend you maybe 50 million or 20 million, and then you use that and put it into business. Yeah, so you could consider doing that, borrowing from your family, from your friends and family. Then you could do some disposition. Some people have land, they have inherited land in the village, and it's just there lying idle. You could sell land, you could sell trees, you could sell matoke, dispose of anything that you have, because it's what you have that will save you. If you have a business idea and you need some capital in there, you might consider disposing of some of the properties that you own. You could also, I've talked about personal. You could use banks. You could go for personal banks. You get a loan, personal bank loans. These can be salaried or can be secured. If you have a piece of land and you don't want to sell it off, you could go to a bank and borrow some little money to start with and use your property as security within the bank. Or you could also use your salary and just get a bank loan. Yeah, some people have done that. You borrow 10 million, you borrow 15 million, but don't borrow too much because you're just starting. Any business that starts off from a loan is starting off at a bad angle. So it's a bad place to start from if you're borrowing money. But if you've saved some little money, if you've hit a deal, some people hit deals. You work in government and you hit one big deal, you have your 50 million and you're looking for where to put it. Yeah, so in terms of business financing, those are the specific areas that I can look at. And then because now we've talked about the choice of business. So let's say you have decided to do a supermarket, or you decided to do mobile money, or you have decided to join agents banking. And now you've looked at the financing, where you've gotten the money from. You have your 20, 10 million or 50 million. And now we're going to look at human resource, because human resource is very important for any business to survive. How do you employ? How do you recruit? Who do you recruit? I have had issues with family, so I would advise anybody not to consider family if they are looking at recruitment. We make that mistake all the time. But truth is, every time I've employed a family member, relative, I've been disappointed. I'll give you an example. At one point, I was working with my niece, and then a cousin and a brother. And then we had some company issues. I realized that I needed to recruit some more informed, more exposed managers. So I put up an opening for two top management officials. And then my family members thought that I would actually consider them. I did not consider them intentionally, because I wanted somebody that would come in and do some proper streamlining within human resource. Yeah, so my family members came to my office, 3 of them, and said, we've worked with you for almost 2 years. How can you consider outsiders and you leave us here? So they always have this sense of entitlement. They are lazy, they have excuses because they think you'll always understand them. You being a family member, they think you'll always understand and pardon them and excuse them. Even if they mess up their family, you won't fire them. Yeah, so I would advise that once you're going to do business, avoid family, very important. And then do formal recruitment. By formal recruitment, I mean you put out an advert and say we have an opening. We want a person maybe who is experienced in A, B, C, D. First of all, sit within your company and do structures. So you must know what kind of employees are you looking for. Do you need a manager? Do you need a marketing person? Do you need a sales person? Do you need an IT specialist? Do you need a systems analyst? So you need to do those structures. Once you've set up the structures, formally go out there and advertise, do interviews. You can call a few friends because there's a time I was going to recruit and I didn't have money to pay a recruitment company. So I called in friends, experienced friends that are well placed in other places out there. I called them in and they helped me do some selection. And I must say we picked out the best. I did not take lead in identifying these resources. The people that I brought on board helped me, and we managed to get to do some recruitments that have been strategic. And then once you have the recruitments done, you need to empower them. There's nothing as bad as running a company and you find that you're the final man, you're the omega and alpha and omega. If you're not in the company, it will go down. Today, I can afford to be in Imbara and do some farming because my companies will run. I have managed to put there trustable people that are well-trained, that understand the kind of dream that the companies have, because you need people that will, you need to sell your mission to whoever you're going to employ. People must believe in what they are doing. If an employee does not believe in what you're putting them, tasking them to do, then you're in trouble because they will just do it for the money. It is always a big problem. You find that people are working, but they're just working for money. They are working because they want to be paid at the end of the month. You need to impart the belief that you have, the drive that you have in you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. You need to pass that on onto your employees and make them believe that when you win, they win. When they win, the entire company wins. That's the kind of exposure I'm talking about. Empower them, send them for further studies if you can, sponsor them on short-term trainings. They're always there. Teach them business. Make them understand your model of business. Make them understand you as a person, because if someone doesn't understand you, then it's very difficult to work with you. And one most important thing in any company is to make your employees understand that nobody is bigger than the business. The business is always bigger. So it's very bad when you have employees who think that they are indisposable. Yeah, indispensable. They think they are bigger than the business because they have worked with you for a while, and without them, your business would go down. I've always told my employees that before I started out, I never consulted any of them. So they need to know that at any one point, they can be actually gotten rid of and the company will move on. But that is not what you're out to do. You're out to ensure that people do what has brought them at work. Because truth be told, the only thing that that puts you together with your employees, the most motivating thing is the salary that you pay them. Everything else comes after that. Yeah, so once you make them understand that, they will know why they're at work, and then you must expect results, and you need to be out there as a business owner. Even if you employ the best of the best, you need to keep an eye. You need to keep supervising your business. You need to keep on seeing what is happening. You need to keep out there in the market, trying to understand the market trends. I'm going to talk about marketing after human resource. Yeah, and then remuneration. It is bad for anybody to make money and you don't share it with your employees. You don't share it with your human resource. I mean, you need to, first of all, put up a good office for them, a good working environment. So yeah, people will make you money, but use it to make them comfortable when they are working. Yeah, so create a conducive working environment, put rewards, put commission, put in place measures that will remunerate your employees and keep them happy. People must be comfortable working with you. Otherwise, if someone is making you millions and millions and you're paying them peanuts and you're not giving them any bonuses and they're not even getting company dinners and company trips, sponsored holidays and all that, if you can afford it, do it for them. Because if you don't do that, then you'll be doomed. You'll find that you have a company, you're making money, but at the end of the day, you're only training employees for other companies. And it happens. It is a time I lost a couple of a good number of good employees because I hadn't noticed, I hadn't kept an eye monitoring them and their affairs, trying to figure out whether they're happy or not. So I lost them. And it was so costly recruiting others because you start from scratch. So you become, you've seen banks. You find one bank like UBA, let me use a name, I'm sorry to do that, but you find that UBA recruits and trains and supports people and gives them all the confidence, then Stanbic Bank comes in and takes them. It's very bad. So you need to keep with your employees, you need to put in place measures of monitoring their performance, monitoring their affairs. You need to know them beyond work. You need to figure out how do they live, what is their lifestyle after work. If you can do that, do it and motivate them, train them, share with them great ideas, support them if they want to start something small on the side. As long as it does not impact on their performance at work, you can do that. Because at the end of the day, you realize that you will never pay an employee enough. Every time you put someone at 1 million, they want 1.5. You put them at 2 million, they want much more than that. Yeah, so you realize that salary alone will never be enough. So you need to train them on how to make money out there. What are they doing? How is their family? How is their spouse? Is the wife a sit-home lady or she's doing something? Why is she seated at home anyway? Can you support? Is there a way you can teach this person how to do some business outside work so that they have additional resources? And once the financing is sorted, once someone is well remunerated, you'll have the happiest of employees. Yes, I'll run straight to marketing. Now you have your product, you've put it together, and then you have recruited, you have your money, the business is starting to run now, but you don't know how to take it to the market. Yeah, and I always tell people that marketing starts with the product. First of all, you need to believe in the product yourself, product or service that you're working on. If you choose to, let's say, do a supermarket tomorrow, what kind of supermarket are you doing? Where are you setting it up? The location matters. And what kind of products are you going to engage in? What kind of setup? There are professionals for everything. Yeah, so the location, once you're sorted with the location for that particular kind of business or service, then you look at the target market. Who are you targeting? Are they there? The people that you're targeting, are they in that particular area? You might go to a Muslim-dominated area and you want to start selling pork. You have positioned yourself, and once you position yourself wrongly, then you're on for a bad start. Yeah, so marketing starts with how you package your thing, how you package your service or product. Once you have packaged your product well, then you, the proprietor, do you believe in what you're doing? I've talked about the kind of businesses that I've invested in, especially during this lockdown. When the first lockdown hit, I wasn't prepared, but I promised myself 2 weeks into the lockdown that if there was ever a second lockdown, I would be considered, what do they call them, an essential worker. It hurt me so much in the first lockdown that I sat down with Afande Stephen, and he laughed at me. He said, "You're not a social worker, you're not an essential worker, just stay home, you're useless." So we realized that we had put money in so many things, so many ventures that were not necessarily useless, but I realized it was dangerous to put all my eggs in one particular thing. And I learned to diversify. So yeah, when you're diversifying, again, it takes us back to the choice of business. What kind of business are you going to do? How are you going to market it? Because marketing goes hand in hand with the kind of product that you're putting out there and the target market. Who are you targeting? Would you as a person consume your services and products? If you sit down in your home and say, I am going to sell food, would you eat at your restaurant? How good is the food that you're going to put out there? Are you comfortable with the product and service that you're putting out as a person? You must put in your all. You must put in your heart. Products must come from the heart. When I'm doing something, I do it because I believe in it. And then I share. People have a problem sharing. You have a dream and you don't want to share it because you think Dixon is going to steal it. You think your friend is going to copy you and go and do the same thing. But then you're going to sit down on a product or an idea and it won't take you anywhere. By sharing, you learn so much. By sharing, you learn the things that you have underestimated. By sharing, you get ideas of people who are doing what you want to do. By sharing, you get exposure. I did chicken and I've just sold out all my chicken that I had. I think I'm remaining with just a few that are still young and need to add on some weight and I start selling again. But I didn't know anything about chicken. The moment I said I'm interested in chicken and shared on the entire group, it is a NSOBA group, the main group, Isharaza, Mark, called me immediately and said, there's this guy, he's doing chicken. There's this guy, he's doing chicken. And I've managed to meet people, I've managed to learn from them because I shared my idea with people that are more informed than I actually thought I was. I shared my idea on fish. I have moved around the country, seeing people's ponds and all that. I shared my idea on doing cows, and I have managed to move around and I've learned over time that because I shared my idea, I've managed to package whatever I'm doing better. So marketing comes with all that. It's not just a matter of getting your product and you take it out there and say, hey, I have this, I have this. No, you have to share with people out there so that they can guide you. You have to share with the market itself. You have to ask questions. I see people doing questionnaires and asking people to share with them what they think about their product, what they think about their idea. That is all marketing. Yeah, so once you've done that, then you need to rely on friends, you need to rely on family, you need to rely on the few clients that you have managed to bring on board in the first phase of your going out to the market with whatever service or product. You need to rely on them and get feedback. And also, I mean, if you have something that you want to sell and your wife is not supporting you, your children are not supporting you, your neighbors are not supporting you, your community is not supporting you, then it means that something is wrong. So you need to market to those first. Once you have them on board, then at least you'll have an ideal market to start with whatever service or product that you're putting out there. Then, of course, the modern ways of marketing include things like radio and TV. Once you have some little money, you could go on radio or maybe do some mentions, pay a DJ 100,000 and tell them, hey, throw in a word for me. TV, if you have money, you can do adverts. But usually people do this when they have really grown. I've seen others do food soldiers. There are rudimentary ways of putting a product out there, really. You do flyers, you do T-shirts, marketing items that you can put out there and create awareness. And now we have platforms like social media. Those can be utilized on WhatsApp, in the WhatsApp groups where you are. Throw your product and service there, throw your idea there, get feedback. And every time you have feedback, work on your product. Work on your product and keep on getting it better and better and better. Don't just sit there and think that you have the best product, yet other people are actually coming up with better. Yeah, that's all I can say about marketing. I'll run to business sustainability. I should call it business continuity. Once you have built a strong brand, you wouldn't have to worry about sustainability, because you don't build a strong brand from nothing. You build a strong brand on a strong foundation. So once you have an idea and it has grown and you have put in place structures at work, you have sorted your human resource, you have managed to save some money, you're breaking even, then you just need to keep on doing good. Yeah, so build a strong brand and put it out there. You've seen some companies in Uganda that have stood the test of time. It's because they are a brand. They're a brand to reckon with. They don't sleep on the job. Every day, the business owners and the management sit down in meetings and strategize on how to keep their brand strong. Yeah, so you need to build a strong brand and keep it out there and do your research. Research is very important. And the best research, by the way, starts with the employees. Sit down with the employees and ask them what they think about whatever you're doing and what they think you could do better. Then go to the market, throw in some little research here and there and see what customers think about your product. You can ask questions. Once you have an opportunity of engaging directly with your customers, ask them to tell you what they think. They can give feedback. And that feedback, use it to improve and do better in whatever you're doing. If a customer complains, take it serious. Don't take it for granted. And improve on whatever you're doing, your service, your product. That keeps you in business, because every time a customer gets to appreciate that you have actually listened to them and taken them serious with their complaint, and then even worked on that and even given them feedback. If a customer complains about something, work on it and then give them feedback. Can give them a call and say, hey, you complained about our service, and I must say we have worked on it, and this is now what we have. I've seen people do bonuses. I've seen people do discounts, promotional items, promotions. If you're a service provider, you could say this entire month we are giving back to our customers, CSR, corporate social responsibility. You give back to the community that is supporting you. You don't just eat alone. Eating alone is very bad in business. It's very important to share with the community. Once you help the community, they appreciate you. You've seen these big corporates do that. Yeah. If you can maybe chip in and educate a few people in your community, just do that and make some noise about it. Every time you do something good as a business, make some noise about it so that the community gets to know that this person is actually not taking in, but they're also giving back to the community. Pay your taxes. Some people don't pay their taxes, and then government closes in on them. You saw what happened with WBS. At one point, I thought my old man Wavamuno was one of the smartest people in Uganda, but then you saw how business went down because he had issues with taxation. Yeah, so pay some reliable tax people like Emma Bwenje. Let me run Kalango for him. Yeah, we have OBs that are doing fine, really. Use them. Use them in looking into your books, in guiding you on how to do proper bookkeeping, but pay your taxes. Once you do that, your business will be stress-free in terms of the weight that comes from assessments and all that. Yeah. Do everything that it takes really to ensure that your product is out there and it's competitive. Look at what your competitors are doing. If your competitors are doing something and you think it's the reason why they are the market leaders, do it or do better. Every time you look at what your competitor is doing, come and do better. You can replicate, but it's better to always try and do something differently. Have your management team, keep them happy, keep your employees happy. The same things that we talked about, like human resource and how you keep them happy. I mean, that is what helps you to keep in the market. And lastly, I'll talk about innovation. Be innovative. Be innovative. Don't just sit there and think that you have this one product and it's the best out there. While you're thinking that you have the best product, somebody else is thinking of how to bring something better and beat you at the game. Yeah, so keep ahead of the game. You've seen there's some serious brands here that have really tried. Every day they are restructuring. Every day they are changing the packaging. They are changing their market strategy. They are changing their outreach. And this keeps people in business. You don't just sit back and think that you've done it all. Yeah, so in as far as the topics that I was given to discuss, that is what I had to put together. But maybe in my conclusive remarks, I need to talk about like what is happening today, the economy, and the challenges that we are facing as business people, and how we can try and keep afloat. If you are doing anything, if you're doing business and you're struggling, chances are that you've messed up in the past, and you're not alone. We have all made mistakes, and we've come to learn from those mistakes. But we've kept on, we've soldiered on. You just have to keep on soldiering on. If you had one particular product that is probably not performing right now because of the lockdown, it's high time you started thinking, how can you change and do something different? What is out there? If I'll give an example, we have a friend that is into the entertainment industry, and things have been really so bad. You have another friend that has been running a bar. Bars are closed, but what have bar owners done to keep afloat? You've seen how they have turned them into restaurants. Now they are concentrating mainly on food, because the food can help them see the next day. But others have gone into vending other materials. They are doing retail. Others have started mobile money services. Others have started agents banking. There's so much out there that you can do and survive the times. But also look at the trends of how things are happening. If you are doing food, for example, and people are no longer coming to your restaurant, have you thought of delivering it to them? If you are doing clothes and your shop has been closed, have you closed and gone home to sleep? Or you can actually get the clothes, put them in your car and move around and sell. If you are an employee and they have laid you off, what are you doing? Are you seated at home, or you've thought of maybe going back home in the village and tried out some little farming? You can do chicken. There's so much that you can do. People have banana plantations. People have land. I never knew that you can actually grow maize and sell it even before harvesting it. There are people who are willing to buy it. People are into coffee. People are into so much. There's so much to do out there that all you need to do is talk to a few friends and ask them to guide you. People always have ideas, and once you share with them, you realize that the information they impart is always priceless. Yeah, so that is all I had to share, Dixon. I don't know if Mark comes in now or if you come in with some questions.
Thank you, Hans. I think now I can add Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Hans. Today's session seems to have been on the higher side attendance. Somewhere we clocked 70, though now we're at 68. I want to recognize just a few rare faces whom we rarely meet. General Musanyuf is around. General UZ, is it General? Yeah, General UZ is around. Dr. Ben Paul Mungereza is around. He's a big statistician out there actually. I don't see the big tax consultant Kido. I don't know what happened. Probably when the lockdown was lifted, something happened. And the usual doctors, Dr. Arthur, Dr. Asimwe, Dr. Kusasira is around, Dr. Alan Impiro is around, Dr. Ngonzi, Dean Medical School, Mbara University is around. I see Engineer Nwamanya around. Now, those are the guys who have titles. For us, the accountants, who have no titles. So you will understand. Now, I'm going to allow, I don't see any questions on the chat side. So we are going to open up. People make their supplements, or those who have questions they can ask. And then we see how we move. These things of business normally seem to be easy until someone asks you a question, or until you attend such a presentation, and then you realize how badly you're doing. One day someone asked me that if I gave you 1 million or 2 million or 5 million or 30 or 50 or 100, what would you use it for? What business would you begin with? This one, I'm mentioning it because one of our members posted the other side of the chat room that we don't have capital. And that question goes to him. One day you'll be asked that question that you say you don't have money, but if I gave you 5 million, what would you use it for? If I gave you 10 million, what would you use it for? If I gave you 100, what would you use it for? Senior Rampol Sol, Senior Education Officer, I can also recognize your presence, and that green bottle next to you is doing some good sanitization. Now, Abraham, what were you saying? We'll try to be brief. Abraham, I see your hand up.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mr. Nsime, for the moderation. And I want to thank my friend, Professor Hans. This time, I think he deserves the title after this very good presentation. And I want to suggest that we receive the presentation and the submission for discussion. I had seen some question on the chat side. Perhaps you will see it from Dr. Asimwe. But mine is about motivated staff. You have very motivated staff, or you try to motivate staff, but yet people, they will always want to move for greener pastures. So how much would one put to keep a motivated staff so that perhaps there's no big temptation that they will move? And secondly, most of us are doing formal work. We are employed. When is the right time? Because businesses require time, a lot of time actually, and commitment, presence, availability. How do you balance to say, perhaps I'm leaving the formal sector, I'm going to do my own things, or I am now in the, I will do part-time, I do the other work, and keep in my formal work. I run the business and keep the formal work. Those are my two challenges on Matthias. I thank you.
Thank you, Teacher Abraham. Titus, what were you saying? I see you're unmuted. Titus? Titus Tugume? Your audio is bad. We can't hear you, but I can see you're talking. Next person is Mark there? You were mentioned earlier. Members, the session is open. As we...
Yeah, I too have a question, Mr. Dixon.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, Mr. Hannington. I actually landed on a particular interview you had done about business. And from there, I have had a question which I had wanted to pose to you. And after having such a wonderful presentation and platform for today, the things that you have shared with us, I would like to also take this opportunity to ask that same question. My question is, how do you know when to go big on a business? Yeah, how do you know when to go? For example, if I'm doing maybe a washing business and then maybe a new machine comes out for washing clothes faster, it does things much quicker, cheaper, but then it's more expensive. How do I know that now I should go big and purchase that washing machine, or I should probably first wait and until I, grow into it? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Bruce, like I earlier informed you, is our alumni affairs boss at NTARE School. Dan, you'll come in next, but after I've read these questions, someone was saying, is there anything like passion for business, or it's passion in a particular line of business? Then two, that how do we get our children involved and ready to carry our business ventures ahead, especially, then three, this is from one of my good friends here. He says that if you look around your home and you see the items you're interested in, items you buy on a daily, that can form your business decision. So does it mean that if you have been sleeping in lodges, then that could be part of the business for you to do? Dan Atwaire.
Yes,
Dan?
thank you, moderator, and thank you, Hannington, for the insightful session. Hello?
We can hear you, Dan.
Okay, so I have just two questions. One, as an employer, how do you manage to keep your employees satisfied? Purely in terms of course, remuneration and benefits. The reason I ask this is that sometimes you start out in a market and the current market rates at which people are paid are actually higher than what your business can sustain. That is, even if you try to go lowest, let's say you're recruiting maybe graduate trainees or people at the lowest rank, and you find that you can afford to pay only 500,000, yet the average market rate is paying 1 million. How would Hannington advise to do this? Of course, then the other question was on breaking out. When does one know that it was the right time to move on from maybe being employed to going full scale into entrepreneurship? And what would be the biggest pitfalls they would expect? Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Let me read the last questions for hands to attend to them at once. I don't know, we have 3, 4, 5 people who are still asking about guest houses and lodges. I don't know why. Okay, one here is saying, how do I change my rental business into a guest house? Is it profitable? Another one is asking, what is your advice on rentals as guest house? Now, I want to answer those last two, especially the one which is saying changing a rental into a guest house. I have a colleague of mine who has been running a school converted his school into that one. So, Hannington, you can attend to those questions.
Thank you, Dixon. Yes, I will start with Abraham. Abraham, how much motivation, how much someone should put in motivating their staff. I said in my presentation, and first of all, I need to put a disclaimer that whatever I'm sharing is my personal knowledge on what I have been doing in business and maybe what I've learned over time. And when it comes to motivation of staff, it can only be relative to what you're making. You're not going to pay your staff allowances, for example, transport allowances, if the company hasn't grown to afford that. You're not going to buy everybody a car at the workplace when your company cannot afford that need for that. Try to rely on the available resources and then look at what my employees have to do and get for them a conducive working environment. An environment that I will personally and feel comfortable because it's with you as the business owner. When somebody enters your company, they don't see the employee, they see you, Dixon. They see Dan, they see Hannington. So in whatever you do, you must create an environment that you are very comfortable with yourself. Yeah, so I will only put into motivation what I have as a company. If the company is not break even, then I will actually cut down on some of the financial motivation and go more into, there are other ways of motivating your team. For example, talking to them. I talk to my team and they look at me as big brother to an extent that even those that have left, There's a time that I fell out with some employees and I let them go. They thought they were indispensable. I let them go. But over time, they work in banks, they work in other companies that actually do business with one of my companies. And we meet often. They come to the office, we talk. We have moved on, we are friends now. I never keep enemies. Your employees today might be your bosses tomorrow. You never know where you're going to find them. So motivation doesn't only stop at the financial remuneration. There are many other ways of motivating your team. But if the company is making money, the employees are making you money, then it's important that one, you pay them fairly in as far as running your business is concerned. If someone is running a similar business out there and they're paying their employees 10 million, and you're doing the same business, but you're not even earning that much, you're hardly breaking even, you cannot match the market forces of 10 million. Yeah, so you will pay the employee 5 million, and then you have to find other ways of keeping them comfortable, earning that 5 million when there are offers of 10 million out there. I've done it and it's possible because employees look at so much. Some employees don't just look at money. And someone talked about letting employees go. If employees want to leave, let them go. If an employee wants to leave, it means that you have not done enough, first of all, to retain them. It means that they have already made up their mind, even if you paid them much, much more. If an employee came to me and said, I am leaving because someone else is offering this much, so unless you match it, I have lost some. Some employees came to me and someone was paying them double what I was paying them. I lost 5 employees at the beginning of this year. And trust me, God has replaced them with better. By the way, there's something I never talked about, that in business, you need to be a faithful person. Me, I'm a God-fearing person. I put religion first, and I have a lot of faith. I always pray about things, and I always get guided. So I always feel like whatever decision I'm making, whatever move I'm making, God is guiding me because I'm praying about it. Yeah, so if an employee comes and says, I'm leaving, then it means that they have lost the conviction. Even if you maintain them, even if you increase their pay, 1 year down the road, their heart will not be there. I've been in that position as an employee. And I realized that when it's time to move, you let that employee go and go out there in the market. Trust me, this employee that you think is indispensable, this employee that you think is the best out there, there are better employees that you have not seen out there. So give others a chance. Someone wants to leave, let them leave. If someone wants to move on for better, let them go. You recruit others and train them. You recruit others and motivate them. But do as much as you can to keep people there. The employees that are really, really critical in the company and they are leaving will destabilize your operations. Those ones you have to try as much as possible to retain them. But when they say, no way, we are leaving, don't kill yourself. Let them go. So in whatever you do, in your plan, in your human resource plan, you must have fallback positions. If Dan is my systems analyst, if he left tomorrow, would I close? If it is possible that someone will leave tomorrow and you close, then you're in problems. So you start training somebody else that can step in, that can chip in. In some cases, I have had to run external consultants who know so much about my business that if at all one employee left tomorrow, especially the technical ones, I would bring in this person and then would be able to train maybe a junior person who has been assisting the other party. So you find that you have supporting structures, and then you let people go and leave. That is when you realize actually that somebody else within the company can actually perform better than somebody who has been running a particular office. You've seen offices where people don't want to go for leave because they fear that when they leave, somebody else could come in and perform better. So you keep on, and then you alternate some of the employees, especially the non-critical ones. If you have people in operations, you can move them to marketing and see how do they perform there. You talk to them and see where their strength is. You expose them to training and all that. So employees should never put you on a wall and say, if you don't do this, we are not. I've been through that and I have let them go and I have moved on better with better, because there's always better out there. Yeah. So Abraham also asked, when is the right to move on? If you're in formal employment, when do you feel like now I must go into personal business? I have learned over time that we are not all, like not everybody out there is cut out for business. There are people that are cut out for supervision. There are people that can perform better. They can do much, much better if they are under some kind of supervision. There are people that perform much, much better in employment, employed elsewhere in other companies. And you realize that no matter how much they really want to move on and do their own things, in most cases, they'll even try and even come back into employment. So you should never feel under so much pressure that because Hannington said for him he moved on and he became successful, I should also move on. No, it's a conviction. When it's the right time to move, you feel it and you will move. But if it's not the right time, you will stay in employment. And there are people who are doing so well. There are people who get paid well. There are people, there are employees who earn 65 million, 35 million. And then they have allowances and they have side deals within whatever they are doing, and they are comfortable there. So it's not a must that everybody must go and do personal business. But while you're in that employment, there are things you could do on the side that could actually be beneficial. We were having an argument on the NSOBA group the other day, mainly with Mark, Dixon, the usual people who interest themselves in these things. And we're saying farming is becoming very important lately, that you can actually not ignore it anymore, whether it's profitable or not. And then, of course, Mark always comes in with figures and all that. It's the statistician. And I remember myself and Ivan trying to tell him that tomorrow you will need the food and not the money. So if you're making money today, then you need to look back home and see what you're doing there. Do you have a cow or cows? Do you have a banana plantation? Do you have a place where you actually grow some maize, some beans? If things went haywire, like what you saw in the lockdown, what if we were to stay in a lockdown for the next 1 year? Can you feed your family? Have you put up something that you can actually rely on to feed your family other than money? Because money can be rendered useless. Some people think that money is everything, but money is not everything, and COVID has taught us that. So what are you doing with yourself in the village? You might be too busy working. You're a teacher, but what have you done on the side that can actually bring in some money, but also work as a fallback position? What if tomorrow you wake up and that job is gone and you don't have capital to do anything? What have you done with your money? Are you just keeping it in the bank? Are you fixing it? Are you doing something? So it's important that we do something on the side, even when we haven't moved on to do business. But when is the right time to move on? When the time comes, you will know. Just keep your heart out there. When the time comes, you always get to know. You feel like enough is enough, I'm moving on. And it's always better to do something before you move on. If you're a teacher and you feel like I really need to move and go into fattening for cows, or maybe go into goats rearing, you better start now. You don't have to wait for the time to come. It's just like retirement. You have to plan for your retirement before you retire. Personally, I want to slow down in everything in 5 years. So whatever I'm doing right now is preparing me for that time. When I'm 45 years, that is 6 years from now, I want to slow down on business. I want to sit back home and let money make money for me. I want to go to my farm and enjoy my animals and sell milk. So I won't go out of business, but I want to do things that can actually give me money, but without a lot of stress. But also the products that I put out there, the services that I put out there should be able to move on without me. So these are things you get to know when you're still energetic. You get to do when you're still energetic. Yeah, so I'll move on to Bruce. Let me try to run through the questions. Time is bad. Bruce, you said, when do you make the decision to go big? Just like I said about moving on, the time to go big comes with, it's relative to how good you're performing. If you have a business, a small business of let's say selling matoke, you're selling 20 bunches, and then tomorrow you realize that every time you do 20 bunches, before when you had started, they would take you maybe a week to sell 20 bunches. Now you're selling 20 bunches in 2 days. And before you know, you realize that soon you'll be selling those 20 bunches in 1 day. Then it's time to multiply and say maybe instead of 20, now I need to do 30 bunches. Instead of 30, when you start selling 30 in 1 day, now I need to do 40. So similarly, that goes to the formal sector. You might be having 10 employees today or 5 employees, and then you realize that they are being overwhelmed. For example, you realize that now you need to start doing aggressive marketing. You need to start doing it. So you add on that particular sector, you add on that department. You add on a sales department, you add on a marketing department, you start doing adverts on TV, you start going out there on radio, you start going into CSR. Yeah, so all that comes with the growth of the business. If business is doing fine, it dictates when you actually must go big. Sometimes it's inevitable. If you've been doing, let's say, production, you might find that maybe you didn't have a meal and you had to take your produce to a person who has a meal. But then now today you realize that you've made enough money and you can actually afford your own meal. So you will buy the meal and you cut out that cost. You will cut out the middleman. So business teaches you. If you're loyal to the business and you have the interest, there's a way things keep on turning out and they dictate on where you should go. Sometimes you can't just sit there and say, I want to do this, and you do it overnight. If you have the money, you might, but in most cases, business dictates where you should go. And that's why you have analysts who have to look at figures, who have to look at your books and, advise you on what to do. Yeah, and then of course, at times you have to outsource because you can't afford. But then when you outsource and do well, then you have enough resources to maybe employ that, put up that particular department. So just do business and do it the right way. It keeps on guiding you. Dixon, you had some questions. Passion for a particular business or passion for business? Well, it differs. I wouldn't do business that I don't have a passion for, because it's a recipe for disaster. You're going to go into something that you don't even believe in. Then every time something happens, you have an excuse of saying, you see, I knew it wouldn't work. I knew this would, but if you believe in something, there are some things that I started about 3 years ago, and I'm just going to the market right now. I built some systems and nobody believed in them, but I believed in them. I also do some software developments where I don't have market. But every time I go out there, I tell people, hey, look here, you're messing up here, but I think I have the best solution for you. So maybe, who knows, tomorrow, I'll get maybe another country that is interested in that particular software. I have software that are built for the Ugandan government here, but they don't take it on. You get frustrated. We get frustrated every day. You do something thinking that if finance can take this on, if maybe police can take this on, it can solve A, B, C, D. I've put in money, the software is developed, but there is no demand. I mean, you keep on soldiering on, you keep on pushing and creating awareness, and you never know. Tomorrow, with software, you can just sell one particular system and you become rich overnight. You become a billionaire overnight. Yeah, so at times, it's important to go for things that we believe in, because once you have the conviction, you'll never stop soldiering on. You'll feel like this thing can work. I must take it out there. I must make it work. But if it's just business, because Hannington is doing it, I can also do it. So many people have burnt their hands like that. You go into a business because you've seen someone drive a blue tech and they bought it using that, whatever they are doing, and you think you can actually do that, then you're in trouble. You burn your money. Yeah, so it's important to follow your heart. And passion, for me, takes it all. You must be passionate about what you're doing. You've seen some people who have taught and they don't do anything else. All they can do is teach because they believe in teaching. They love what they are doing. But there are others who are there for the money. Similarly, you've seen people in the army and in the police. There are those who are there because they had nothing else that they could do. They don't even love it. They are there to make money. They're the corrupt ones. They are the ones who are always in issues. They are the ones who are always fighting with people out there. But there are those who are there passionately. They're not in for the money even. They're in for the passion. Yeah, so passion takes it all for me. Business decision based on things around you. That was a question on just because you go to the lodge so much, must you start up a lodge? Why not? The fact that you go to the lodge and you know everybody who goes there, most likely, and you know the reason why you go there, it means that you understand that field very well. Yeah, so we all know why people go to the lodge. Either they go there to sleep or to have their fun. So you already believe in that. There are some people out there that are actually like you. They also go to the lodge. And lodges, by the way, for a fact, are making so much money depending on the location and how styled they are. Because what is a lodge anyway? They're apartments that people have turned into fully furnished apartments, and they're making money. God speak apartments. Throughout this lockdown, I would go to speak and you'd think that it's another world. They have about 280 rooms and they were all occupied, about 90%. Throughout the lockdown, 90% of the rooms at Speak apartments were occupied, and they're making money, but that's the lodging. So yeah, depending on how much money you have and the kind of expectations that you have, lodgings are not a bad thing. If you're the kind who sleeps there, why not do the business? You'll be the #1 client. Yeah, so I would advise that if you love something, then do it. Business, oh yeah, I've done that. Dan, you talked about employee satisfaction. How do you keep up with the fast change market rates? Like I said, I think I already handled that. You do your best. I have an employee that people have come for and tripled his salary, and he refused to go because he believes in me. I've made him believe in me. I have even given him shares in some of the products that we've developed together. So he knows that once those products go to the market, he will be a rich boy. So why not soldier on for the next couple of years as we sell these products? Yeah, so, and that is also part of motivation. How do you motivate you've seen these multinational companies give people shares. They give you something small within the company and it keeps you in there and you will never leave. You've seen banks buy for people houses, mortgages, and they get vehicles and they get all that. You find you have a loan that you're going to repay in the next 5 years. You're tied there for the next 5 years. So there are different ways of motivating people other than just giving them money. Money, yes, it's a good motivator, but it's a bad one if people start taking you for the money. People are in there for the money. They are not there for, they are not convicted. They don't believe in what they are doing. They're just doing it to be paid. It's good to pay, but then you need to motivate people in other ways other than money. Yeah. Dixon, you talked about rental business. I don't do rental business. I don't think I'm an authority there, but I think we have better people here who can talk about rentals and guest houses. Yeah, and I think Dixon, you're one of them. But I have not done rentals. I realized that I would rather fix my money somewhere. Yeah, so maybe in the next Chiganiro, we'll talk about other ways of investing your money other than putting it into real estate. Yeah. I think I have managed to tackle all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hans. I want to make a small request because normally we want to do this thing in 1 hour and then use 30 minutes up to 7:30 for other things. I see there are many questions which are still lined up. I've been trying to go through the chat side. There are very many questions which are still there. I see people's hands. Tufik Kathbaz wants to say something. I'm going to request that we have two more questions or supplementaries. Then we close the official session because when we do a recording, we don't want to, okay, Kathbaz has gone off. We don't want to share a recording of 2 hours. It won't be interesting. Can we have 1-2 more supplementaries or questions from members?
Yes.
I have like 2-3 more questions which I'm going to read.
Yeah.
Then we close and then we, yes, Bruce, what I say?
You had asked a question. There's one that dropped in the chat. The one of I have my retail business up country.
Oh,
yeah. 3 months without going there. Am I safe? I think that's urgent.
I'm going to read those. Let's have 2 more from okay, MK.
Thank you very much. This is Moses Kafumbe. I'm glad to be here. I'd already actually typed my wanted to supplement in the text. What I was talking about is that we look at flow of income. You look at daily incomes, you look at weekly, annually, something like that. So I was actually inquiring, but as well as trying to supplement, that it would be better for someone to begin with a daily income. Then you can think about a monthly and then annually, something like that. But you realize that some people make a mistake and they start with a business that will bring in income after, let me say, like 10 years. For example, one of the presenters there was talking about software development. If that is your index business and you expect to generate money after, let me say, actually, you're not even sure. like after 20 years or 5 years, it becomes a big problem.
Thank you, MK. One more, and then I read these ones out and we close our session. Okay, since they are not there, I just have 2-3 questions to read out here. I have my retail business up country and I take like 3 months without going there. Am I safe? Of course, you're not safe. So, but Hans will talk about it. Then 2, how do you advise us or me to start a business in a resource constrained situation? For example, with 50,000 or with 1 million. I think this was my very first question, which I asked, and I think Hans answered it as he presented his first how to identify business and how to finance it. He had actually talked about it. If you can raise 50,000, then you can start a business of 50,000. If you can raise 1 million, you can start one of 1 million because the options are out there. The last one, as a farmer, how have you managed to go around the impact of COVID, the impact COVID has had on the prices of commodities? Have you picked up lessons to be able to face the next shock? Any lessons for you to pick? Yeah, those are the last ones. So I'll ask Hans to Arthur, Doctor, what are you saying now? Brief,
yeah,
please.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Dixon. I
Yes.
think I had posted my inquiries in the chat line, but probably maybe may have missed them. But talking really business with confidence, it is something that really teaches us a lot to identify our potentials. So that said, I wanted to seek for some clarification. Looking at the rewards, commissions and the holidays for employees, I wanted Hannes to throw some light on that, because me initially I thought that actually this is something that needs to be considered strictly, looking at the profits that the business has made. So I wanted him to throw some clarification, but also to throw some light on the, at what point would you consider a business successful? Because I understand in the business language, you have the business as an entity, then you have an owner and probably the employees. So in this kind of context, at what point would I consider a business as successful? Over to you, Chair, and thank you so much, Hans.
Thank you. Cuthbert, you're back.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Hans, for the good lecture you've given us tonight. Mine is to supplement on what you're talking about on what business you must start. There are times when you must start a business, of course, where you have studied the needs of the people, that these are the things that they need in this location. So if they need a kiosk and there's been no kiosk around, then you can start a kiosk within that locality to serve their services. The second point was about many of us do businesses for the wrong people. Because I'll give an example. You find many people building up high-class rentals for the middle class or the high-class people. Now, when you target those types of people, yes, they have the money, but remember they also have the potential of building their own types of houses. So then move to their own places of their choice. So we target the wrong people. I've seen successful businessmen here in Uganda who have gone and targeted the right people. One example, the examples I have is the late Mulwana targeted to do plastic cups. He would have the capacity to make ceramic cups, but that was not a class of people he thought ceramic they would need. So he went for the low people, and he made, knowing that they're the majority, made for them the products that they basically need. Another person is Mukwano. Mukwano does things for the right people because he makes things for the low people. He knows who are the majority, and he makes them in such a way that they are affordable to those people. So many of our people here, you find them investing for the wrong, targeting the wrong audience for investment. So you find at the end of the day, that business is a bad business. I can't go back into rentals because he targeted the wrong people. If he had gone to Katanga, put up a plot and put up the small rentals, he would make more money than say going to Naguru to put up rentals for the high-end people. So we need to also know what people are we investing for. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cuthbert. You're the last one to ask a question. Hans, this is the last one also to add on your list. What business have you seen people in the diaspora invest in locally? This is taking into consideration the fact that they only return once or twice a year. Let's have Hans summarize the above, and then we open up our usual chiganiro for another 10 or 20 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dixon. I think I will start with the diaspora question because it's the freshest here. Yes, I have been keen and I've noticed that most people in the diaspora are reluctant to invest here because in most cases they have been duped, especially by relatives. You send your money for a relative to construct for you maybe a set of apartments, and before you know, they have duped you. You come back here, some even run away from you, and it becomes like a family fight. Some people have been shot at their gates because they were returning to demand, and the relative had embezzled all the money and all that. There's so many bad stories, really, that have demotivated people in the diaspora from investing here. However, there are consultants that are currently doing this kind of business. And they are selling themselves, really. They have done some good marketing. They have some good stories from those that they have helped. I know for one that Hardware World, for example, he travels abroad when there are these American conventional things, and then he gets his customers from there. They send money directly to him. Once land has been identified through, again, other consultants that do dealerships in land, money is channeled directly to the supplier. He supplies, the engineer is appointed by the consultancy. And then before you know, you have your apartments done. There are people who have done it that way in real estate, specifically real estate, and they have some results. Others return, those who are in a position to come back home maybe on those long holidays, summer holidays, they return home and maybe purchase land and start some long-term farming, pine trees, and other long-term investments that don't necessitate somebody to be there all the time. Yeah, but it's limited really for people who are in the diaspora. And in most cases, they have to fix their money, either in the bank or go for other ways of fixing money, like buying bonds. And this is the stuff that you know, that you'll discuss in the next Chiganiro. Yeah, so there are limited avenues really because of trust. We have trust issues with our families, and some people are not reliable. Others have been lucky and they are born into families where they can actually support, but it's very rare. Yeah, so I'll run to Moses K. He talked about, I think it was Moses that talked about a retail shop up country. It's tricky, it's really tricky. I would do a business up country for somebody, for a relative, let's say, because why are you doing your business up country? In most cases, you'll find that you're supporting so many people back home. And whatever business that you're doing, you find that it's to help you generate some money back home so that you don't have to send money home. You're here in Kampala, you're busy with other things. People in the village are calling you and asking for money for the maid, money for medical, money for food. So you put up a small business so that it can help the people back home. And in most cases, it's important that you identify somebody, a relative, that you believe is going to, especially somebody who is also a beneficiary. So you're not necessarily doing it to profit as a person, but you're doing it to support the people that you have back home. And in most cases, if you're lucky, you might get someone who is interested, probably give them a bit of shares in that business so that they can run it knowing that it's it's theirs. It's not yours in Kampala, because I've done some small retail. When I was starting out, my wife did clothes. She would go downtown, buy clothes and bring them uptown and sell them with a serious markup. You buy clothes at 10, 20,000 and you sell them at 50, 70,000, at times even 100,000. People are still doing it in town in these boutiques that you see. But you realize that when you have an employee there and you're not constantly monitoring them, they will go and replace that item because they know where you bought it from. So someone will make 1 million, but they will tell you they made 500,000. The 500 is theirs. So it's unsustainable, really. And so many people have closed businesses because of lack of supervision. However, there are things that you could do and try out some kind of supervision from maybe wherever you are. You don't have to be there all the time, but you'll find that every weekend you have to go back home. You saw today, Dixon, people are doing stock taking of my fish. Very soon we'll be selling the fish. Now I know how much fish I have. I know how much I can get out of it. All I need to do is link to the market now. And the market is there. The Congolese are always in Imbara looking for people who have fish, and there are very few people who have fish in Imbara. My marketing model is different, but right now I have to sell. So I'm not in Imbara, but I'm coordinating things from here because I have put structures in place that can help me monitor the kind of thing that I've gotten into. I mean, no one is going to go and sell my fish tomorrow because I mean, there are cameras. There's so much that you can do and keep on monitoring. I have like 3 different supervisors that don't even, that are not friendly to each other. I will ask a friend randomly. I'll say, Emma, please help me pass by the farm and see how this and this and this is doing. I have had reports before from friends who passed by and said, hey, you need to do A, B, C, D. These guys are not doing it. And when the employees get to know that you're actually monitoring them even from a distance, in most cases, they will get to do the right thing. So there are some activities that you can actually do from a distance and monitor without risking. But retail is risky because retail you sell and restock the next day. Yeah, so somebody is going to turn that business into their own. Starting a business with limited resources, there's so much that you can do out there. And COVID has taught us so much. People are doing delivery, for example. You get a border. Well, people have gotten cars and put them under Uber. Of course, they have complained with time that Uber is not that beneficial. But then as they tried out Uber, something else came out of that. I know so many people started out as Uber, but then they managed to get a list of their clients that ride almost on a daily basis. And the client doesn't have to use the Uber app to call this person. They call them directly and say, Dixon, I need to move. Please pick me up tomorrow at this time. My child is stuck at school, because you have passed yourself as a responsible person. And this person can actually move to a second car, a third car, and a fifth car, because they have created a line of dependable clients. But the clients are also comfortable with the services that this person is giving them, that they will continue giving the person a business. Others have borders, and now these days we are into delivery. You saw my Tutumia business the other day. I had a few delays because some of my employees couldn't move, so we did not finalize on going to the market. But come Monday, we are in office and we are going live. Yeah, so I will have a couple of borders and they'll be doing delivery, because COVID has taught us that people actually don't need to go into shopping. People don't need to move around to buy food if they are home. You can actually call and someone will deliver that food. You can call and someone will do shopping for you and deliver at home. So that's the kind of business that we are getting into. And how much do you need to buy a border? I've seen some of 1.5 million. I've seen some of 2 million. A new one goes for 4.75 million. So depending on how much money you have, there's so much that you could try out. There's mobile money business. There are so many platforms right now that don't require you to have so much capital. You will do mobile money even when you're not registered with MTN or Airtel. There's a product I'm putting on the market very soon, maybe in 2 weeks. The company is called Bora, and we are going into, Dan knows about it. Maybe one day you'll invite him to take you through some of these things. But it's called VAS, Value Added Services, Value Added over Mobile Money. So it runs on mobile money. And you've seen the likes of Your Payments and all that. You can actually register now with Bora, and you'll become a vendor of mobile money services, even when you're not registered with MTN. You don't need you actually don't need capital. The little capital you need is like a phone, say a phone or a laptop and maybe internet. How much does that go for? You can buy a phone or you can buy a laptop. So you need about 2 million to start that kind of business. You don't need so much. You can even borrow those. Some people already have these things. So there is so much business that we can think of right now, especially given the current situation that the country is going through. From delivery to retail, you see people used to own shops. Now they don't need shops. They realize that they can actually have something at home. Hannington will call and then you'll go there. You can have a line of barbers, and people will, if you put up something small like a WhatsApp group and advertise yourself, people will call you and say, I need a barber. I need someone to plait my kids' hair. And they have to come and do it from home. But you're the middleman and you're making a profit over and above that. Yeah, so there's so much business that you can do with the limited capital that you have. But you just need to talk about it. I've already talked about the advantages, the benefits that come with sharing in groups, with friends. Just talk about your idea. People can steal it, but the market is too big. The market is too wide that I can give you my idea. You can go and run it, and I will also run it, and it will be profitable for both of us. Gone are the days when we would hide ideas so that Dixon doesn't copy me. Yeah, so that is it in terms of limited resources. Then Arthur talked about rewards, holidays for employees. When do you consider them? When do you do them? Are they necessary? Well, it depends on the kind of business that you're running. The biggest reward I've given out in my company is a brand new car. I rewarded my lead software developer with a car because I was tired of him moving on a border. He risked getting an accident. This is a resource in my company, and he had not saved enough to buy a car. Maybe it wasn't a priority to him, but to me, I thought safety, well, moving on a border was too bad for him. I started with giving him transportation money for Uber. It became too expensive and I had to buy him a car. I think it's been the biggest motivation in his life, because from that, all the other motivations that I've done, like giving him shares in some of the products that we are developing, those are just additional. But not every company is going to buy a car for their employees. Not every company is going to afford to send you abroad. I mean, if an employee makes you, seals for you $1 million deal, you've made $1 million because of this employee. How do you reward them? You think of what they have brought on board, and then you do something that is relative. If maybe the employee had a wedding with the wife and they never went for a holiday, you can say you're going to give a ticket for a holiday. It doesn't even have to be abroad. It can be here in Karangara. It can be somewhere in Bushenyi or in Chisoro. And you'll find that you're just spending 5 million on a holiday for two over a weekend. We always do end of year bonuses. I do that. I do end of year bonuses depending on how the team has performed and depending on which team has actually outdone itself. It's motivational. So you can do maybe 50% of their salaries, or you can pay twice. Companies do that. If you look out, you'll see those that are doing it, especially it's usually the external companies, the foreign companies that do that, the big corporates. But even at your level, you can try and give some rewards to your employees, and they will appreciate that. Yeah. When do you consider a business successful? When you break even. That is that should be the ultimate goal. Break even and start making profit. If you put in, let's say you started your business with 50 million, business has grown and it has hit the 50 million, you have recouped it and you're making more profit, you can manage to pay your taxes, pay your employees, pay all the other associated costs, and then take some good money home, then it's a successful business. Then you start thinking about business continuity. How do you actually keep in there? Because some people have actually become successful in their business and then they become too excited. Instead of reinvesting into the business and putting in place things that can actually ensure business continuity, they get excited and start going for trips, start blowing the money, start driving good cars and spending recklessly. Instead of sitting down and saying, hey, I think now I'm making money, but how do I ensure that I make more? How do I ensure that my business remains stable? How do I ensure that my customers are happy, my products are growing? How do I add on to what I'm doing? If I've been doing one product line, how do I add on another? If I was offering one service, how do I add on another and another? Business has to continue growing, but it becomes successful when it can take care of itself and take care of you as well. Yeah. Cuthbert had a submission, but I think it was more of a supplementary. But somebody asked a question about family. How do you, children, how do you ensure that your children become part of your business? it's a really difficult one. In most cases, I'll give you an example, small example. Within my family, I have 4 children, and they all have different interests. But you'll be surprised that 2 of them are actually interested in anything that I do, whether it's bad or good. They're interested, and you have to be on the lookout for them. Those that are interested, how do you get them involved? I have my youngest girl who is 5 years, almost making 5 years. She keeps on telling me, Daddy, I want to be a farmer. Every time that I'm going to the farm, I have made it a point, I'll be taking her there. I used to take her there to feed the chicken, to feed the fish. She loves dogs. I'm a dog person. She loves the dogs. She plays with them. So I try to keep on exposing her to that kind of line of engagement that I have. And you never know how it will turn out tomorrow. You might be lucky, you might not. But if you're lucky, this person could actually end up taking care of the farm if the farm is successful. I know that I have someone who loves the farm. I have another who loves the IT business that I do. I want to keep on trying to take him there. I was doing it all the time, but then I realized that some of the stuff that goes on at the workplace is too much for a kid. So at times you just need to expose them a little, but you keep on gauging what you're exposing them to. You don't want to get a young kid and put them in your office, and then you have adults in there talking about adult stuff, and your kid is learning that. Before you know, the kid has outgrown themselves. Yeah, so you just need to study your kids, see where their passion is, and support them there. If they love what you're doing, put them in there. If they don't love it, then you work on ensuring that you grow your business so that it can stay to sustain the family. If you look at the likes of Steve Jobs of Apple, he died, but I don't think any of the children or any of the family members is actually working for Apple, but they will benefit from that for the rest of their life. Yeah, so it's not a must that family must work with you in your business. If you're lucky and you have somebody who is interested, well and good. If you're not, then you build a business, you leave it behind. A business empire can actually live way beyond the lifespan of the owner. Yeah, so I thank you, Dixon. I thank you, everyone. I think I am done with the questions. I'm a bit tired, so I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Hans. Bruce, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, this is your thing, so you better close the show now. Last week, someone, I think it was Abraham, who mentioned that, does it mean lions don't pray? And I had promised that this time we'll pray. Then I remembered we all prayed in the morning anyway, and even last night we prayed, so that's why we don't pray. So Bruce officially closed the session, but then we continue as usual until for like another 20 minutes. But you can officially close, and then for us who are still around, we shall proceed.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Dixon. And special thanks to each and every one of you who has been part of this Chiganiro. It has been very rich. There has been a lot of information that has been shared, and I know it will help all of us as these days are transitioning, or regardless of whatever is happening. I believe we'll adapt together in this time and in business. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Hannington, our main discussant. Thank you for investing in NSOBA again, and all the well-wishers who have been part. It has been very rich, even from the chats and the information that has been coming from the chats. I believe everyone has learned or picked something from your experience, your discussion, and everything. Yeah, otherwise, we shall have, I believe we have not exhausted a lot, everything to do with business. So we'll see how to also, even if it's a different perspective, but to push on to the next Saturday. So make sure next Saturday, same time, same link. No, not same link, same meeting.
Same link, yeah, same link.
Oh, okay. Same link, same meeting ID. Make sure you're here, and also invite a lion to be part of these veganeros. They have been very, very beneficial to many of the lions and many well-wishers who become part of them. So make sure you don't leave a lion behind or a well-wisher behind that you believe will benefit this particular Chiganero. Otherwise, thank you and have a wonderful weekend. We are going to continue over to you, Mr. Dixon.
Thank you, Bruce. I wanted to first see who is online. Arthur, last weekend you ended the session.